Hi, today I'm going to talk about psychosocial and social emotional development theories. And the first one, Erickson said he believes there are 8 vital stages of this psychosocial theory. And this is about how children grow into adults and they adjust or they don't adjust to their cultures and society. Now, the here's a thinking map of the 8 stages, and it starts with trust and mistrust. Um, that one is probably one of the most crucial, but not the crucial one. It has to do with the mother mostly, because having a connection with her by breastfeeding is a sure way to develop that trust in adults. Now, the here's a little outline kind of that I did, because it's basically the crisis is what they're going to go through, and the virtue is how they go through it. If it's positive, and the outcome was it could be a negative outcome. So, and I put some thoughts down. So, birth to 1 year is basically, like I said, trust or mistrust. And that's with, it's all about hope and learning to gain, have a sense of security. And if you don't have that with a parent, then, or a grown up, I should say, you become fearful and suspicious of people. And infants do acquire consistency, whether if it's consistent being hopeful and having that trust, then that's how they're going to be continuing on at this stage in life. And if it's not there, they're going to be fearful and suspicious, and it's going to be a hard road to come back up from that. Now, stage 2, or the second year in life, is autonomy and doubt. And this is, say, like a baby wants to put on, a 2-year-old, a toddler, wants to put on their own clothes, and the parents are saying, "Oh, good job," no matter if it's the right foot or the wrong foot, or if it's backwards, or if it doesn't match. And this will give them some strong will inside, and if they're told, "Oh my gosh, you didn't do that right," then it's going to bring a lot of shame. Therefore, with fear, then there's shame, and then it's just going to be a very hard life starting out for this poor child. Now, 3 to 5 years, we have some initiative and some guilt, and we're going to learn some purpose. But if they're told that they're not good enough and they're made feeling inadequate, then they're going to be more of a follower than a leader. 6 to 12 years is industry versus inferiority, and that's having some pride in themselves, some confidence. They're going to be maybe the leaders in school. And if there's not, then there's some inferiority, and then it's going to be a lack of confidence and a lack of beginning of social skills. And now 12 to 18 years, now we're going to go into trying to find ourselves. And are we unique as an individual? Do we feel special? Do we know that we're, just because we're not like somebody else, that we're still as good? Or are we going to have real confusion, and we're not sure who we are? We don't have any good support groups by us, and that's some, body image is one surefire way to tell if a child's having some real confusion. And that can be anywhere from, anorexia or body dysmorphia. Those are 2 sure ways, and that does come with, you see rebellion in children that have these type of issues. Now, the next stage is going to be 18 to 40s. And that's where you're going to really find love and solitude with groups of people and friendships, and maybe a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And you're going to form these relationships, and it's going to be part of your existence and your social life, and you're going to be happy. Now, if you don't have good self-esteem, and you have poor body image, and you lack confidence, and you're a follower, you're not going to have very many friends, most likely, and you're going to be sad, and it's a very sad life. And there's hope, but there's always hope. Now, from 40 to 65, there's generativity and stagnation. Now, generativity is that you care for others. Say maybe you had a baby and you're able to care for it, or you're able to go around other people and understand how they feel. Maybe a grandparent, you're able to put yourself out there for them, or you may be unproductive and stagnant. You just sit there inside of your house and you're just lost and you don't know how to get out of this kind of whirlwind spiraling. And then the next phase is 65 and older. And that has to do with wisdom and contentment. If you're retiring and you can look back on your life and be like, oh, I had a great life, or I had a decent life, and, I'm pretty happy, content. Maybe I didn't get to do everything, but I got to do a lot of things. And, I have a great support group, a bunch of friends, and you may have a family and you may not. And either way is perfectly fine. Now, if you're not, and if you're in despair, you're going to have a lot of dissatisfaction. And you're going to look back at your life and you'll be like, oh, man, I didn't do anything with my life, and it's kind of depressing. So those are the 8 stages that Erickson believes are vital into developing into a more productive member of society. And here are just a few key points, like stage 1 and 2, it's feeling secure and security and have faith in the ability to dress oneself in stage 2. Stage 3 and 4 is more about like doing tasks on your own with, you're not having to may feel guilty of how you're doing it. And your relationships with others, or you don't, and you're feeling inferiority. And you kind of tend to be a follower instead of a leader. Now, stage 5 and 6 is, I know who I am. And I'm not the same person as my mom or dad, or I'm not the same person as my sister. And then you're also able to share emotions with others instead of isolating. In 7 and 8, you're supportive and you're happy, or you're content, or unfortunately you may be dissatisfied with your life. Hopefully not. And here's just a few pictures of what I say, like this is stage 1, it's a baby holding a finger, and I look at that and I'm just like, that's hanging on to hope, like, hang on, I trust you, don't let me go, In this stage, this is a young lady, and she's in school, and she's, she knows she feels confident in herself, and she's able to be a leader. And then this one is identity and role confusion, and here's a big bowl of self-esteem, and you're like, yep, my cup is full. And then this picture is more like I have some body images, some self-doubt, and my body image is not the greatest, so it's like you're halfway smiling in your tummy, and you're kind of not, you don't know which way to go. And this one is, isolation. You're kind of alone at school, you don't feel a part of, and then later on in life, you feel accomplished. And you're like, oh, pretty happy with my life. All right, now we're going to go into social emotional development. And this is about managing emotions and solving problems and getting along with others in everyday life situations. So here's another thinking map, and it's all about a sense of self, and you have empathy for others. You can regulate your emotions. You have impulse control, and that could go along with, body image. Impulse control could mean maybe alcoholism or bulimia or anorexia, your temperament, your emotional security, you feel safe in yourself and your environment. Responsive caregiving, and then self-efficiency, effective, and social understanding. And then these are all about the abilities to meet challenges ahead of us in each stage of life, and to be able to complete these tasks and to be able to move on towards the next step in growth. Here's another little math outline that I did, and I put, just I'll give you some examples, are emotional security is supportive environment. The child is able to express their feelings openly. And if they don't have a supportive environment, like no ground rules at the beginning of class, then the child's not going to feel confident and able to express their true emotions. Now, let's see, what else do we have? This is not very clear. I'm sorry about that. So, effective is like having an open dialogue with students, and that's about their emotions and being able to have a positive influence on their emotions and being able to know what they are, and if they don't, they have a closed dialogue and it has negative impact, and they won't be able to know what their real emotions are or how to express them, I guess. Then we have sense of self, and you could teach encouraging your students, and then that if you encourage your students and they're all feeling like, oh, we can do this, they have a sense of purpose and pride. And you know, if you have minimal support and you're not really encouraging, you're just like, here, do this assignment, you know, then it's kind of like, we're not sure what we are, and we don't know what our purpose here is in class, so we need some more guidance. Then the next slide is just some more, some competencies. Self-awareness, being aware of how you are, able to control your emotions, your feelings, and able to handle consequences of your actions, even though you may not like them. You're able to handle them without overreacting or bursting out in anger. Self-management is kind of the same, you know, a little bit of the same thing. It's understanding how to understand emotions and reactions, and then social awareness, showing empathy towards others, responsible decision making, taking time to make good choices, and do this in your everyday life, just not at school or at home. You know, you can do it at the grocery store. You know, make sure that, you know, that just because that guy comes out and ticks you off because he's going to take your parking space, responsible decision making. Okay, maybe he's in a hurry, so let's just let him have that one. So the next is a few more pictures of how I did a couple of these things. Empathy, of course, showing that you can empathize with others' feelings, and you don't have to take on those feelings, but you can empathize with them. You can understand them. And then emotional security, we're going to do a happy dance, and we're going to be able to take some risk in life and be okay if they don't work out. And then, you know, the next two are lack of impulse control and sense of self. Lack of impulse control, I put that one because he's kind of sad. He broke his little shell because he couldn't stay still, so he had to rock and fell over and knocked his little head. So, and then the other ones, yeah, the man who has confidence in himself gains the confidence of others. And I tell my daughter that all the time. If you walk in a room with your head down and you're kind of like, oh, you know, people aren't really going to respect that and aren't going to be able to, maybe not even respect, but just not going to be able to really get to know you. Because they're going to just think you're a sad person. But if you walk into a room and you have your head up and you're smiling and you say hi to just whoever, some people might look at you kind of weird, but most people are going to be like, oh, hey, the smile is contagious. A frown is not. And the next two are sharing love with others when they are in need, and positive attractions with others. Like I said, trust. If you can go into a classroom and you can have groups of people, not just groups of students who get along with each other and who are friends, but having the different abilities in certain groups, put those together so they can build upon each other, and then they can learn to trust and grow in that knowledge with somebody totally different that they didn't think maybe they wouldn't get along with. And that's my theory.